easy. Maybe easy. Second stage is okay, because theory is there and you have to develop your answering skill. How you should answer to case-based questions. That skill you have to do more questions and you have to get practice. So here, whatever I have given in the theory, in the view, that directly will come over this. Making and see past papers. Okay. So my past papers 17A. 17A. 38A. So those papers we can refer. These other papers also. Entire papers you can refer. No issue. Especially my past papers. So because you can see, and one more thing, if you see the past papers, but certain questions I have included in the practice questions also. So I can mention the year and this past paper, this is practice questions. Certain ones I mentioned the past questions I mentioned. So only I have given the business process only like that. So others I have mixed. I have given internal control and audit. Whatever questions I have given. They are past papers plus practice questions also there. Okay. So past papers you can refer, but only one thing. Some past papers I saw some calculations are there. So you don't need to worry about those calculations. You won't get any calculations type of questions. Okay. Because calculations there. Not my papers. Other papers, but you want a calculation more discuss and take them and calculation more discuss because I am discuss calculation. Yes. Data always 1% have in this EOP calculations and let's say control levels are there. What are the control levels? Email control levels. Control levels formula एक का है वो एक calculation and data form का एक calculate दिया है समस्या की नाम दिया है you know about that understand the concept questions related to those will come but calculation related questions won't come. Okay, so I don't remember what are the 80, 17, 18, I don't think that the paper has been uploaded. 17, 8, 17, 8, and also 8. Just those processes. Okay. So format, the first class I have shown, I give my go. Section A, section B. Okay, two sections are there in your exam. Section A will contain 4 questions. Each question, all the 4 questions. Out of that 4 questions, you have to answer 3 questions. 3 questions like a single question. एक common answer से okay, like that. Let's say the question number 1, there you have 4 subdivisions. Okay, subdivisions. These questions make a 6 mark, 5 marks, or like that. You can see the past because I can understand. So, section A, 4 questions, 4 main questions are there. Out of that, 3 main questions you have at section B, 3 questions are there. Out of that, you have 2 questions. Okay, you have to write answer for 5 questions, 5 main questions. Clear? Okay. Let's say section A has 4 questions. Section A will be 3 questions. Still, that can be there are 4 questions. Okay. Section A section A section B They got clear Nepal. Still, you have covered 100 marks, but it will be considered as 80 marks. Only 4 questions. So we have to follow the instructions. Section B, 3 questions you have to attend. Section B, section A, 3 questions you have to attend. Section B, 2 questions out of here. Okay, so today we are going to start the session with rules and regulations. Laws and regulations. So here, after now, we have discussed step 1 in the audit process. Step 1 we have completed that point 1 and entering the terms we have completed. And second step is, as I told, audit plan. A audit plan is the second step. But before moving to the audit planning, I wanted to discuss this certain special area because these what's the first area we have discussed last class? Frauds and fraud. What are the responsibility in relation to the fraud? Why we have the fraud? Because our focus towards to material statements. Okay, statements can be happen because of 2 reasons. What are those reasons? Mistake and frauds. Errors and frauds. So errors mistakenly without our knowledge. If you use anything, those things will got mistakes. With intentional if we do any, that will be considered as fraud. So fraud and illegal important. Jika kita dia lihat dan unsuccessful dia lihat satu ini important. Since ini memanfaatkan ini, several times saya link is important. Why we are studying this chapter? Personally, those steps, 5 steps, sorry, 4 steps, and this chapter. That is most important thing. Jika our theory baru kita ada yang apa? Ada ini step. Ini tapi ini mana mana kita masuk jalan. Ini understand. First, you have to understand that first. Then only you will understand theory. So, I will change the steps. Okay. Always you have to remember in audit those 4 steps. We are coming to basic 5 steps that audit procedures and evaluation of the expenses can be segregated into 2. We can say evaluation of audit evidence. That also will be take as a 4th step and 5th step we can take as audit report. But yeah, those are both are okay. Audit where you start these steps won't be changed. Okay. What are those 4 steps? You have to remember. Hereafter, you don't need to see. You should not see the book. You have to remember. You have to keep in your mind. What is the appointment? Aggregators, audit planning and risk assessment, audit procedures and audit evidence, audit procedures, report. These are the 4 steps. The audit procedure and audit evidences can be classified into 2 categories. We can say audit evidence evaluation also, but it's not a big thing for evidence or procedure and the evaluation part also. Okay. So these 4 steps only change. If you study CA, also these 4 steps. If you study BSAA, also 4 steps. If you study in 7th degree, also 4 steps. If you study in double degree, also 4 steps. If you study 80 degree, these 4 steps only change. Here the first step. 18 first step we cover. Okay. Second step, we are going to start with. But second step, audit planning and risk assessment. Okay. Before discussing those things, now you should consider yourself as an auditor. Okay. You are an auditor. You are an auditor. So now you have been appointed as an auditor for a private company. Okay. So BSAA comment in BSAA. So here, example I say here, better to come these two BSAA comments. Okay, these BSAA comments pointer, your auditor. So now you have been appointed. So what steps you have to take next? Okay, so those are the things we have to discuss. So now, what appointment is done? You have put agreement with who? Who? After agreement. After agreement. Steps after discuss. Management, board of directors. Now that also done. So now you have to start your work. Okay. Now from here onwards, you should start your work. Okay. In order to start your work, first of all, before directly jumping into the work, you have to plan problems. And they want to say you want to put this before that you must plan for one studies about Karo. Practice planning after image. So you can exactly audit planning at the end. What are the audit planning? What are the activities included in the audit plan? Those things I will tell. Okay, but your job, I request you to understand the concept, not theory. Theory ka read out theory. Understand the concept. Mong kia dan motor apa? But the job we have been appointed as auditor. Now we have to audit the financial statement. Provide or express an opinion on financial statements, whether financial statements are free from material statement. Make a actual government auditor. Yes, sir. Because why I am emphasizing these matters too much because it will continue to a certain level also. Okay, these fundamentals only you can do the second level. Clear? So, object to confusion okay, it doesn't matter. We have another 5 classes after that also to be clear until exact you can ask, but don't understand your mind. Okay. At least you have more than 7 pages, 80%. Okay. So my request, this is the objective. This objective. A more finance statement. Material. Okay. I come to next we are going to discuss about material. So you are auditor, always you should think this two. My scope is only related to finance statement. Akki over there, ये audit और revenue क्या दो से regulation लागू हुआ revenue क्या इन्हें यार कैसे यार प्रवर्तन कर रहे हैं या एक बार हम revenue क्या एक बार हम ये हम बैठ के यार ना पूरे प्रश्न है Now, fungsi apa yang bisa kita dia pakai? Kali ini, one balance or itu masih aktivitas. Dan kalau kita masih aktivitas dalam satu lagi juga ya. Pada itu yang orang boleh pakai. Ini waktu itu ada apa ya? Ini dia apa orang report dia ini discuss people must emphasize those things. If you are responsible, you have to clear it. Right here, because now it's secret. Right? ये return है, normal return है. एक अभी ये ना हुआ. अभी इसको एक मुक्त दान होता है. Okay, because already signed secret किया. अभी ये report किया. In addition to that, we take written representation also from there. If you are making a question in having more representation, it was like that. They also material statement also related to finance statement. Here, different verses. Okay. So, more just start the is done. Auditors are everyone better we find the license and in Lanka, in a for example, the banks for the market worker and for this why it is safe by the IoT. It will be YouTube Google use for. And they should work, they should perform their work properly. If they compromise their work, they counterparty can put case against the auditor. But related to fraud, the fraud have not then for media. Fraud companies are case another. Because that responsibility is management. That class also be discussed now. Prevention and detection of fraud responsibility management, not auditors. Auditors' responsibility in relation to still financial, whatever topic you are discussing. Okay. Because then discuss the topic as a mind already I have explained to change our scope within financial. Okay. A scope within financial. There are also materials. Not 100 rupees for this mistakes. Finance statements, materials. Okay. So whatever topics we are going to discuss, whatever topics we discuss, only one relationship we have. How this topic will impose material statement in the landscape. First step, you have to remember, yes, also is not related to my statement and material statement. Those two are most important because of it. Financial statement and material statement. So you can operation we have discussed in control. So you have control. It's such aspect. Financial control, operation control, and asset control. Okay. So yeah, if there are some operational control weaknesses, why you have not reported in the finance? Why you have not reported in the audit report? If anyone says, okay, if anyone say we have noticed a lot of operational control weaknesses in the organization. Okay, you have no operational control weaknesses in the organization. Why you have not mentioned these control weaknesses in the audit report? Audit report main objective is providing opinion on financial statements, not operational control. By checking financial statements, if you encounter any operational results, okay, that also means financial controls. Okay, what in the one? What's the mandatory? Let's say engagement is connection at the end. Okay, pre-condition nothing more than the control related to asset okay. Control related to transaction the power with management. So we perform the audit. So we will say only financial not other controls. So we are not responsible for those controls. Why we say financial control? We don't know those any other control weaknesses. We will report to the auditor to management limits. It is not in the audit report. We have discussed no primary objective and secondary objective of auditors. So secondary objectives are providing internal control weaknesses to the company, to the auditors to improve their management. But that's not our main objective. Our main objective is only related to our scope and statement. Whether material statements are there or not. That's all. Clear? Secondary objective is not achieved. Control weakness okay. Then all the area, then all the area. Why you have not included the control weakness in the audit report? We don't need to answer to his question because he doesn't know about any knowledge report, you can see the BSAA report is also, and this is the analysis in for example. There is a opinion. This report and opinion. Okay. Yeah, we will see only more financial statements. That is our main program. What does that mean? What do you do? Okay, or it main program can be financial statements. Do not use it. Other objectives, who management data, who are responsible, okay, here. So again, I want to emphasize one thing. As I wrote financial these two things we have to focus. So here, whatever topics we are going to discuss, how this topic will impact to material statement landscape. That kind of only we have to focus. Okay, clear? Not only fraud also, we have discussed on that kind of fraud data, and all discussed. So let's we have discussed in the fraud topic, types of factors of fraud, styles of fraud. After that, who is responsible for the evaluation of fraud management? What's our responsibility? Any material mistakes happen because of fraud. How do we get that material mistake? That's our responsibility. Here also laws and regulations. Okay? Laws and regulations. Okay. So under rules and regulation, what responsibilities? Okay. There are two ones. One is management. The other one is auditor. Okay. And I have to add this I need to find this right. Okay. First topic we are going to discuss under regulation. This one. So here, first of all, I want to state one thing. Those and regulations. So here, why we are learning laws and regulations? That we have to understand first. Why we are learning laws and regulations under audit. So here we are going to discuss what are the laws and regulations applicable to the organization, company. Those things are not our responsibility. Okay, those things are not our scope. Here we are going to discuss how non-compliance of laws and regulations. Okay, non-compliance. Non-compliance. Non-compliance of laws and regulations. How non-compliance of laws and regulations will, what's our scope? What's our objective? Provide expression of opinion on so now why we are learning this topic? Non-compliance of laws and regulations. How both material is stable in the financial statement. It's also laws and company, if that particular company does not comply with those regulations, if that particular company does not comply with those regulations, how that non-compliances will cause material misstatement in the financial statement. That's why whatever topic we learn, you have to connect only one thing. How that topic will cause material. It's an identical moment. How most of the people say, regret part, again, I'm going to discuss regret part here. Okay, so in second stage, you discuss regret part. So, whatever we discuss, you are going to discuss one thing you have to relate. How that particular topic will cause material mistake in the finance system. Because that's objective. The topic is material mistake is out. Okay, if we don't find material mistake, then we can say yes, I understand. And we can give it. If you find any mistake, and if you are not satisfied, then we should give that. Finally, you will go back and after discussing what you go, you can't use this word. So, technical terms. Last, I take key take last audit report. After discussing audit report, you can't use any other alternative words. You must use the same word. Account audit, certain words you can't use. Most certain words you can't use alternative words. You have to use the same. Here also, like that. So we will discuss later. Okay. Here responsibility. Here responsibility. First topic. Well, I have laws and regulations of non-compliance of laws and regulations. How non-compliance of laws and regulations will cause material mistake in the financial statement. That's the objective of this topic. But we can't study that one. No. So, in order to study that part, we have to study from the beginning. Okay. So, first of all, you should know about the responsibilities of non-compliance of laws and regulations. There are two parts. Management and audit here. So, from here also, management is responsible management is responsible for okay. Management is responsible to comply with the laws and regulations of the particular company. Okay. What is the auditor's responsibility? Again, management is responsible. Okay, management is responsible to comply with laws and regulations. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yes. And see responsibilities of management and auditors. It is management responsibility to ensure that entity complies with the rules and regulations of auditors. Okay. Okay. Audit. Auditors responsible. Auditors responsible. They reasonable assurance financial statements. Okay. Reasonable assurance on financial obtain reasonable assurance. So what is meant by obtain reasonable assurance? In other words, you can say financial statements do not have any medical statements. Okay. We can't give assurance, you know. Why we can't give assurance? There are some limitations. We have not discussed about limitations today that we discussed in our stage. Yeah, so why we can't give reasonable assurance? Assurance on internal control, we have discussed on internal control. So likewise, here also we have some internal limitations. Okay, there are also some internal limitations we have. Because of that, we can't provide these assurances. Here also maximum high level of assurance we can provide reasonable assurance. So our objective of obtain reasonable assurance on financial statements. In other terms, this is not a different meaning. It's not giving. It's not giving different meaning. Okay. What I have told earlier. Provide expression of opinion. Provide or express an opinion on financial statements. Financial statements are being from material state. Okay. Saving. Obtain reasonable assurance of financial statements. And there is the same. That explanation also maybe. Okay. Don't get confused. Okay. Okay. So auditors' responsibility is obtain reasonable assurance on financial statements. In order to obtain the reasonable assurance, they should consider whether any medical statement here. Any medical statement. So here, our objective is obtain reasonable assurance on financial statements. So for that, in relation to this topic, we have to link any material statement is found in relation to non-compliance of laws and regulations. Okay, as some of the in terms of non-compliance of laws and regulations. Clear? Yeah. Is the main objective? Okay, is the main objective. What's the main objective of reasonable assurance on financial statements? Okay. So now what is the specific objective in relation to the non-compliance of laws and regulations? Whether any material statement is found in relation to non-compliance of laws and regulations. Clear? 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 Several points here. 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 You can do a separate. As I explained, in relation to this topic, what is our objective? Any whether any material statement is noted in relation to non-complex percentages. For that, we have two scenarios. We have two situations. Okay. For that, we have two situations. What are those two situations? First one, certain listen, however, what does the company related to finding a mistake in relation to non-compliance of percentages? This is the specific topic in relation to this topic. So now, again, so now, understood? So now, there are two situations. These non-compliances will cause material statement directly to the financial statement. It's called direct effect to the direct effect. Okay, direct effect to the material statement, material amounts in the financial statements. Okay. First thing, non-compliances. First of all, as monitor, we should see what are the non-compliance of laws and regulations directly impact to the material. That's how you know. That's how you do. How non-compliance of laws and regulations will impact the material amounts in the basket, material statement. So here, first investigation, how these non-compliances of laws and regulations will directly impact to the material amounts. Okay, direct impact to the material direct effect. Effect to the material amounts and disclosures. Okay, direct effect to the material amount and disclosures. Okay, how non-compliance on laws and regulations will directly impact to the material amounts in the financial statements. Directly impact. Example. Okay, an example. Income tax act money non-compliance directly amount and impact cost you pay income tax. Right? If you see any non-compliances in relation to this act, if you see any non-compliances in these acts, then directly lead to the financial statement because those are amounts. Okay. Those things will come on. Right? If you don't say material statement in the income tax, if it is material statement and if it is material, then you have to focus. Okay. If you see any material statement in the back, then you have to focus because those are directly impact the amount. You cannot make answer directly amount. Back from comparison, you don't impact the amount. Income tax comparison, you don't impact the amount. EPF, SSI, if you remove this statement and if that statement is material, then directly impact to the financial statement. Direct impact. And you 1 million rupees only 100,000 income tax. Okay, they have recognized 1 million as a tax portion. See, what is a company has not agreed to pass journalism. Okay, they not agree to make it like that. Okay, then 1 million amount should be recognized as income tax portion, but they are recognized only 100,000. So 900,000 is consistent. No complaint. But they cannot agree to pass the journalism. So 900,000 actually that is material. They that is rejected. Like excess, like fact. 1 million should be for us, but they have recorded only 1,000. Material. If they don't agree to pass journal entry in the financial statement for those who that people, then it will be considered as material statement that will impact to your work and your. So directly those things will impact the financial statements. Here, some are not compensated for that. What else? Environmental act. Okay. Some, let's say, environmental protector and environmental laws. If they prevent this, if the prevent this, like anything like it. Okay. Let's say some things are to the white monster. But some are to the convenience of the officers. What are those? Being a company operator on, if they want to operate company, they have to comply with social regulations. For food manufacturing companies, food regulated act, food regulated compliance. If you take companies, medicine manufacturing companies, or hospital companies, they have to comply. That medicine they compliance. They want to manufacture the okay, let's say your company, your entity, your client is that is your client is manufacturing that is that's the manufacturer of medicine. That's your use of your client's operation. So they have to comply rules and regulations of the manufacturer that saya kontrol bisa ini jadi tidak ada sekarang orang tidak ada improve atau informasi informasi diskusi bisa memang bisa jadi atau if they did you be found oh they are comply those regulations okay so if they want to come back and see one is fine if both fines are material, they will give back the fines. On the other hand, sometimes so the people to that if they go on comply with certain prices, they sometimes they may close their business. They have to close their business. So non-compliant stores, they are basic compliance. Capital manufacturing company like Colombo, harga dia no, dia plastik dia kalau comply. Kalau corporation yang financial kata dia ko, bilang dia, dia bagi business sedikit more. So that is the basic thing for the operation. So when you what is the perspective, certain non-compliance are there. Those are not directly impact the finance, but because of non-compliance, sometimes they may impose penalties and fines. Those penalties and fines are, if those penalties and fines are material, then that will impact the fine states. Yeah. Second, do not take a Sample IRA. Example. Okay. Here. So here, direct impact. Okay, direct impact. Directly goes up, effectively to the finances failure. If you know the type of non-compliance, the finance statement directly, then you have to obtain submission and obtain qualifications. Okay, listen. In this case, listen. In this case, as a CPA, we have not as a directly impact to the markets. As a human is one, we have so then you have to take submission and create evidence. Finance statement is among the indicators they were operated on or evidence is around. So, or evidence is here, it's that's how in here, if you do not have it directly, then you have to see whether it is so points are being imposed on. If they impose it and fine, that's those fines and penalties. As soon as the legal service is appropriate or inappropriate, that one I go, that one I discuss under the immediate. Okay. I will leave. Now, otherwise, you want to understand this. Our opinion. Okay, so in order to provide opinion and what finance statements, if you want to see application code, okay, just is okay, okay. I will not the case, he will provide opinion. I hope that the is actually be more on what basis he consider. He is something that in finally, based on the evidence obtained, if you doesn't, like here also, if you want to provide an opinion, we should have evidence. Okay. To achieve final objective, we should have evidence. If you want to change my statements, is what we should change the financial statements. Whether financial statements because of their whether those financial statements stop as the holding it is not. Whether those financial statements because as the holding it is not. So I have a sufficient evidence. What is mean by sufficient consumer appropriate agriculture? So I may understand in order to provide an opinion on financial statements, we have to gather like so based on the evidence we can find. So that is a okay, we got sufficient and appropriate. What is mean by sufficient and appropriate? Explain. So if it is there, then we have to get evidences, sufficient and appropriate evidences on is there. Here also we have obtained a balance of fines. It goes related to that penalties and fines, related documents for those penalties and fines we have obtained and we have to release. Okay. Auditor's responsibility. Management responsibility ensure that it is compliant with those regulations. Auditor's responsibility. It is not auditor's responsibility to prevent or detect non-compliance with those regulations. Okay. The auditor's responsibility for any statements of the statements, and in this respect, the auditor must take into account the legal and regulatory framework in which it is operates. Auditor's responsibility in relation to compliance falls into two categories. First category, those that have direct effect on the regulation of material amounts and disposal. Example, IIB Act, EPA, BDA Act. The auditor's responsibility is to obtain sufficient evidence about compliance with those regulations. Because those are directly impacting the amounts. So they impact amounts we should address. Here, those that do not have a direct effect on the determination of material amounts and resources in the tax section, but where compliance may be fundamental to operating instruments, like manufacturing, medicine manufacturing companies, they will comply. Yeah. Component shaded other prices. So those things will not affect directly to the tax statement, but those are directly to the operation. Adequate material in business or adequate material management. Environmental, the auditor's responsibility is to undertake specified audit procedures to help identify non-compliance with those regulations that may have material effect on the finance, such as how to manage or finance. Yeah, example, effective correspondence with the relevant licensing or regulatory authorities. Okay. Now, audit procedures. Okay. What are the audit procedures we have to follow in relation to laws and regulations? That's an audit. Okay. Like you can continue your notebook in the same manner. Also, this is not there. This one I will accept. Okay. So you can continue. So audit procedures we can classify into category. General audit procedure. Okay. General audit procedure. And second one. Non-compliance. There are two situations. Don't get confused. Earlier we discussed auditor's responsibility. So auditor's responsibility will be based on the situation. Okay. Government benefits. Okay, that's one. If it's impact, they have to obtain sufficient evidence. If it is not impact, then they have to see the points of analysis are there. On the other hand, they just want to do their business. Whether it is related to the foreigners. Those aspects only we have to see. Now we are going to discuss about the audit procedures. Let's assume the audits okay. Now we are going to see audit procedures. What are the procedures? Now we know responsibilities. If it impact, what is our responsibility? If it impact, what is our responsibility? So now we have audit procedures. That audit procedures we can split it into two categories. One is general audit procedure. General audit procedure, that what are the general audit procedures? We have to adapt. When we perform audit procedures in relation to those and regulations. Second category, once we identify any non-balance, let's say assessment. Last year, relevant company paid. Company underpaid the income tax. Because of that, they have the same assessment problem. On comparison, we take that example. With that, we will discuss second part. Generally, you have not found any mistake in relation to non-consensual. But you find, or you won't find, you have to do certain things. Those called general audit procedure. On the other hand, once you find non-compliances, for example, tax assessment. What are the audit procedure? Those things we are going to discuss there. Okay. So general audit procedures, you have not found any, but once you start the audit, you have to perform these things. And again, where I important. You have I don't know, it doesn't matter. You have to perform these things. Through this only you can identify. So you want to identify the non-compliance, you have to perform these things. So any audit, these things asked. Okay. And so in order to identify the non-compliance, you have to perform these audit procedures. So this general audit procedures we can classify into two. One is general understanding. General understanding and other procedures. General understanding means general understanding means what are the regulations general understanding means first of all, you have to understand what are the laws and regulations applicable to the relevant organization. Here, we understand here we are not identifying In order to avoid non-compliances, you have to do this process. Okay, so first of all, once you start the audit, you have to identify what are those and regulations applicable to come. Okay, clear? So we will come under that we come under understand. Second, compliance. Okay, one. Two procedures, general procedures, and once you identify the non-compliances, under general procedures, before you identify the non-compliances, you have to do two audit procedures: general understanding and others. Under general understanding, first of all, you should know about the relevant applicable laws and regulations in relation to the regular government and how that company complies with those relevant laws and regulations. What are the steps they take to comply with those laws and regulations? And understanding you should have. Those two procedures will come under general understanding. And other minutes. Other procedures, first one, maybe both meanings. Okay, board of directors service one, not only board of directors, all the needs ATM and other videos. Okay, एक review करना, monolithic, non-compliance हम लोग आगे. Second one, management. You have to discuss the management and identify whether in non-compliance they have not. Review minutes. Okay, review minutes. While reading both minutes and shower the minutes, you can identify the non-compliance. And you should require the management. You have to discuss with the management. discuss with the management and identify what are the non-compliances they have asked financial detail and perform substantive procedure. The time thing just remember perform substantive audit for time being. Okay. Anyway, substantive audit process we will discuss in the audit planning and audit procedures. And last audit procedure of written representation. Through written representation, what are the things we are going to obtain? All the non-compliances are being identified and we don't have any compliance here. On the other hand, if not, what are the non-compliances we have in current period? That information we have to get it from the management. There are two types of representation we can get it from the management. First one is all the non-compliances we have identified, we don't have it from the compliances. And we are identified. Or they can say we don't have any non-compliances. Also in the object. Second time, they have to list out what are the non-compliances they have during the year and everything is here in writing to the auditors. That's all written in the presentation. Audit procedure, general procedure. Okay, general procedures. The auditors have technical understanding of the applicable legal and regulatory framework. As we can say, laws and regulations. How the entity complies with framework, which means how that company complies with the rules and regulations. Other procedures really means making inquiries of management and in-house external legal advice, management or legal advice. So, for example, making inquiries of management and in-house external legal advice. Lawyers cannot research. So, we can discuss with the management or legal advisors of the company, lawyers of the company, and we can get to know what are the non-compliances they have during the period. Because they want to get a fighter, so we can obtain representation. We can discuss with them and we can get to know about the non-compliances. Perform substantive test of tickets. For the time being, just remain in this verse. I will explain when we discuss the audit planning and audit procedures. The auditor shall request written representation from management that, okay, read this one. The auditor shall request written representations from management that all instance of non-compliances or suspected non-compliances with laws and regulations. Which means, in simple manner, I can say, we have to open in the presentation stating the non-compliances. These are the non-compliances we encountered last year. So, during the audit year, financial statement, financial period. So, they have to start and we have to get from management. From there, we can identify the non-compliances. What are the non-compliances? For example, let's say management has given last year we have received 2 tax assessments. Okay, the information they are giving me through this within the presentation. Even here on 2 tax assessments, one is related to income tax, one is related to VAT. We have received. Okay, the presentation. We management discuss we are getting that information. What are the non-compliances they have last financial period. So here we have to go through an audit process to identify the non-compliances. Okay. Second category, if non-compliances are identified, if non-compliances are identified, what are the just be applicable? But the example have given income tax assessment last year, the company has underpaid. For that, they have received tax assessment. That's a non-compliance. Here, how you have identified that's a non-compliance through these audit procedures. By performing these audit procedures, you have now identified that company has tax assessment, IRD Act, non-compliance. Okay, they have received tax assessment from the IRD, so that is non-compliance. Now we have to do specific audit procedures in relation to that non-compliance. Now we have identified, so now we have to perform specific audit procedures in relation to that relevant non-compliance. Okay, what are the audit processes we can perform? Once you identify this, okay, this is the non-compliances. For example, tax assessment. Now you have to identify the nature of assessment. Okay, first of all, we have the auditor, the tax assessment non-compliance are common. So now we have to identify that or understand the nature of that assessment, which means non-compliance. Here, and we have to gather relevant documents in relation to that tax assessment. Okay, relevant documents in relation to that tax assessment, and we have to identify what is the impact. What is the impact to the financial statement because of that non-compliance? Okay. First one is we have to understand the non-compliances. If it is tax assessment, you have to understand why they have sent this tax assessment. Okay, that is the okay. Because proses dari okay, dia apa cara menjelaskan? You have to understand the conflict. Okay, so let's have to be on. Let's have to be on. Okay, you are now. You have okay. Now you have to do that assessment. Right? This was material in the finance state. So you have to perform the audit procedure. So now what are audit procedures you have to perform? First of all, identify the names, understand the short form of the yes, I don't have enough space. So detailed version, expert version, I have given it. Understand the names. You understand the nature of non-compliance. Okay. Here and obtain information and documents. Obtain the information and documents in relation to the non-compliance. Assess the impact of the financial statements. First of all, you have to understand why they have said this tax. You understand or no? In non-compliance, nature understand or no? Okay, you have to gather enough documents in relation to the tax assessment. So just an example like tax assessment. Example tax assessment here. Income tax assessment notice. Income tax assessment notice issued by the government. Income tax assessment notice issued by the company. So first you have to understand what is the nature of that tax assessment. Nature of non-compliance, and you have to gather enough documents to verify that non-compliance. And most important thing, assess the impact of the financial statement. If it is material, it is bother. Okay, if not material, it doesn't need to bother. So impact we have to assess. So those are things I have given here. And two things are there. Okay, understanding of the actual fact and circumstances. Okay, all the information to evaluate possible impact to the fine statements, which is impact of the fine statements. Discuss with management, those are the governance. That also you can write. Consider need to obtain legal advice if sufficient information not provided and matter is negative. Evaluate effect on auditor's opinion if sufficient information not obtained. Evaluate implication of risk assessment and evaluate your percentage. So obtain understanding. I have given that. Obtain further information to evaluate possible effects on financial statements. Okay. That's what I'm giving. That's the financial statement. And third one I have given here. Obtain relevant information documents. Okay. I have that point. I have segregated into two. Okay. Fourth. Discuss daily management. Okay, discuss with management. Make a short form email other name use elaborate it doesn't mean the same, but first I have given the 2000 you should write. This is the concept. With that elaborated right. Discuss with the management, which one I write here. Identify the impact to the identify the impact to the audit opinion. Okay, identify the impact of the opinion. What is meant by this? What is meant by this? Here, you assess the impact of financial statements. Impact of the financial statements. So, if it's material, you have to ask management to rectify the problem. Okay. First of all, you have to assess the impact. Let's say if it's material. If it's not material, we should not bother about that. Let's say if it's material. Then what the next action we have to take? This material, we have to ask management, yes, this material, this will impact the body. So you have to rectify this problem. If they rectify, no issue. If they don't rectify, what's the implication? That will impact the audit opinion. Okay? We can't give free opinion. So now we have to identify the impact of audit opinion also. Okay? And last one. This one, into the Sunday. The presentation you have to operate from the management. So these are the things I have given here. So once you specifically identify the non-compliances, next step you have to understand the non-compliance. You have to gather the relevant information about the non-compliance and you have to assess what's the impact to the financial statements, and if you want, you should get the confirmation from the legal advisor. Okay, and you have to discuss with the discuss with the management and legal advisor. Management and legal advisors, or legal advisors. Okay, legal advisors. And identify the impact of the audit opinion. Identify the impact of the audit opinion if you don't receive sufficient appropriate audit evidences. Okay, if you lack of audit evidences, if there's a lack of audit evidences, then that will impact the audit opinion. Okay, and you have to get the from the management. Here, these are the entire procedures in relation to if you identify non-compliances. Okay. One thing I want to so with that we can conclude rules and regulations. Now we are after that we are to discuss about the audit material. Most important chapter because our scope is financial statement. Our objective is finding that will provide expression opinion on financial statement whether there is no material statement or not. So what is meant by material? What is meant by material statement? How we can compute material. So up to now the word I use material statement is the financial statement. Very financial statement again. Make the material. Make the impact. The decide that's the criteria. Those criteria up to now without that topic we have discussed material statement here necessary here. Then time to compute the material amount. Then only we can segregate okay, this is material. So just let's say circumstances in this material we have to focus. How we can decide this material amount? So that we can compute the material level. So if it is above material level, we have to focus. So that material material. So the way we will have that discussion. To understand the concept, let's take the let's take only this financial opportunity. Take the financial opportunity. Okay, only take in savings. We have only four items. It has like this. We have here also here so like balance also now we have but this thing is points. For example, as auditor, are we going to check entire score? No, because our focus on the material. So let's say 50 million. So then we are going to verify on this is to X. Okay. Understood? As an auditor, we are going to verify all these four accounts. In the if we take a 6-month finance question, we are not going to verify all these four accounts. Only material amounts only we are going to verify. So we are going to verify only this 100 million and 20 million. Okay. Here I have taken assumption with the material amount. About that, I'm going to discuss. I'm going to verify. So I took an assumption. Okay. So I calculate and I not like I can say assumption just without any calculation for explanation purpose. I have taken this 20 million without any calculations. So 20 is material amount. So as an auditor, we have to verify this 20 and this 100 above 20 million. Now I have decided this 20 million as a material. That's the question. You should justify whatever work we perform, okay, whatever work we perform, that work must be justified. Okay, clear? So here also we have to justify our answer. How we are going to justify? What is meant by material? Those things we have to discuss. Okay. Material. And this first thing we are going to discuss about the material mistake. What is meant by material mistake? All about this definition. Okay, definition again, we are not concept understand करना एक overall theory without changing the content. Okay, you can use your own words, it doesn't matter, but without changing the concept you are right. Okay, what is mistake? Is that legally important? So this format will be used by other stakeholders as well. Shareholders plus option stakeholders and so our report is much of important to others. Shareholders whom other stakeholders. So once we give the report, based on that report, audited finance statements. Users, we can say that shareholders and stakeholders, we can in one word, we can say users of financial statements. Okay. So based on the audit report, based on audit financial, they will take some decision. Significant decisions. Okay. Significant decisions they will take based on the audit report and audited financial statements. So that responsibility we have when I'm doing right. And decision make report this. So that much of responsibility as understood. So normally stakeholders will review the financial statements and read the financial statements and they will take financial and our report based on our report. They will take some decisions. So any amount, if any amount. Or disclosures. If any amount of disclosures, that's I know that not only amount, other aspects also we will other needs or by needs also we should understand that material. Forget about just forget about the nature. We go with the amount if any amount. If any amount influence to the users, if any amounts influence to the influence on the decision of the users. A simple words. So this you can understand. You have a finance statement. Based on that, users of the finance statements will take some decisions. Okay. Take the first point. If any amounts in the finance statements, influence to the decision making of the users. Okay. Decision making of the users, that amount was mandated. Okay. Here, amount was if any amounts available in the finance statements, if those amounts will influence to the decision making. Influence to the decision making of the users, that amount was mandated. Here, if any statements will influence to the users of the influence to the decision making of the users, that amount is mandated mistake. Okay. So here, what is material? What is material statement? Statements are considered to be material if they individually or aggregate. Not only one. Aggregate amount also. Okay, that is also important. Individually or aggregate. To understand purpose only, I have simplified the definition. If any amounts individually or aggregate. Okay. Effect to the user's decision. Okay. That amount will be material. The statements are considered to be material if individually or aggregate could reasonably expected to influence the economic decision of users. Okay. Statements that affect to the statements that affect to the decision making of financial statement users. The statements that affect to the decision making of financial statement users. Here, you can write individual every yeah. This material. If now we have this material, just assume we're going to use material. Now, example, points are there. When we have considered material, then we will have all that we are discussing. So, I will later how we can do that material. exactly. Now we have to verify the material level. So so how this material level help us to from the those things I have given. The material level impact the auditor's decision will into how many items to examine, which items to examine, whether to use sampling techniques, what level of statement is like to evaluate or its opinion. So how material level will impact the auditor's decision? In my example, in my example, I consider the items are there. All type of items are very important. How we have excited only we have to verify only those based on the material. Yes, you will see the 20 minutes of material. So about 20 minutes, we are going to verify. So out of that, we are going to verify. So the critical guidelines are to set samples. Which means what are items here to verify? How many items? Which items to examine? Okay. Whether you use sampling techniques. Example also, knowing one thing you have to understand. Let's say like 20 and 100 we have selected more. Now example, 4 items. I have signal finance question. I have used 4 items, 100 million, 20 million trade receivables, 5 million trade payable, and inventory 10 million. I have given out of that 100 million and 20 million we are going to verify. Okay. Out of that also we will verify only sample, not 100%. Okay, that part you have to understand properly. First of all, if you take finance statements, roughly finance statements, how many accounts are there? Let's say in finance statements, you can say 100 accounts are there. Okay, let's say not let's say for example, understanding those. You take the finance statement, the finance statements, you can see quickly all of that accounts. Are we going to verify impact accounts? No. Out of that, we will filter certain accounts. How we can filter? Based on maturity level. Okay. Let's say out of 50, we are going to verify only 30 accounts. Okay. So now we have filtered based on the material level, we are going to verify only 30 accounts. Okay. In that 30 accounts also, we are not going to verify 100%. There are also, we are going to verify only sample basis, based on sample basis. Certain transactions only we are going to verify. How we can select those transactions? Let's say we for one of the item in that accounts, the entire 100 million we are going to check. Out of that also, we are going to check only sample. How we can check sample? This so in this table you have to know only one thing, that also we are going to verify sample basis. To determine the samples, material level will guide you. Okay. Before discussing determining material level, I want to guide us. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So how we can do it? Guys. Okay. Guys. Given by chance. Most important thing you have to remember, there is only hard and fast rule book. Hard and fast rule book. This is the way that comes here. This is the amount you should take as value. Like that, you don't have any hard fast. Okay. This is important point I am saying now. Audit material is professional judgment. Okay, these were the most important thing I have in the video also. Audit material is professional judgment. Okay, that is knowing hard and fast. No one can say this is the material amount for this. It's a proper judgment. Standard also they can't give any hard and fast rules. But standard has even tried that. Guidance. Or like that. Okay. There are certain criteria can see. Based on that criteria, you can compute the profit. Based on that, you can compute the material. Okay. Here, the same as only rules and regulations. Partial judgment. So, partial judgment. It's not even like maths. Okay. What else like? For example, one thing I want to tell you actually information. In the take a past statement, there are already. You have profit, you have assets, you have liabilities, you have cash. You have expense. Okay. Based on this, you can compute material. Yes. So these are the guidelines. So let's say ABCPS. Sorry. We can compute the material level based on profit. Based on profit. Profit before tax. They apply, let's say 100 million the profit of that particular company. They put 5% on into profit and they are compared. After the money. Okay, fine. Now, President also computer material. They are auditors, but they say President also they compute the material level. President has computed some percentage. Now you can't say you got to answer this correct, so now this wrong. Another way around also you can't say President answer this correct, you got to answer this wrong. Okay, that is judgment. इधर कोई बात क्या है 5% बनेगा 1% बनेगा नहीं क्या clear but guidelines have been given by the standard. What's the guideline? If you want to take material level based on the profit 5 to 10%. Then rule leva plan किया था profit 50% क्या करना तो profit 1% क्या करना तो so guidelines have been given by the standard. So I do take reasonable. If below takes 5%, that's also correct. If it takes 10% is also correct. If percent takes 8% is also correct. But that must be adjusted by the law. Here, that is percentage. On the other hand, anyone also can change. One is based on profit, one is based on revenue, one is based on expenses, or profit, or liabilities. So that basis also you can change based on your judgment. On the other hand, percentage also you can change based on the judgment. Here, these are guidelines for on your exam. So, and percentage will be very based on judgment taken by the one more thing we can't report on jobs. What shower the actually proposed in the shower. I have given the house to you. You are the owner of the company. What's the first thing you will see in the tax bill? I'm going to listen, sir. Okay, so to whom we are reporting? To whom we are reporting? Shower. Oh, okay, they are going to shower. So, what is the main objective of showers in financial terms? So, by default, normally, by default, I'm not saying 100% or it is not computing material level based on the draw. By default, they first payment as a problem because they are two type of showers. From shower, the point of they have to pay. So, based on the property, they will compute the and retail. Property is not okay. For example, that's why one is a function judgment. Material level is function judgment. Let's say 100 billion. Okay. For example, 100 billion. 100 billion. 100 billion property conservative is just 5 million. Like 500 billion dollar company, if you see 500 billion dollar company, they will have a asset transaction, asset transaction. So in that level. So if you material based on the profit, 5% profit, 3%, 5%, let's say 10%, 10% is on profit, 5 million outstanding, 500,000. And 500,000 material that's not taken. That's also not visible. You can take based on the profit. So then you should go with. So likewise, we can see no, but we have to justify the signal. Okay, so guidelines, profit before tax, 5% to 10%, revenue 1% to 3%, assets so here I have given 1 to 2%. So this also can be changed. 1 to 3%, and it has 2 to 5%, profit after tax 10%. Likewise, you can change the things. Here I mentioned profit before tax 5 to 10%. So okay, okay, guidelines can be changed, no issue. So if you want, I will write the same things. Okay, but remember this can also be changed. Dengan profit after tax nila natin, profit tax rate data, kaya 0.5 to 1%. 1 to 3% also get some guidance. So any I can see the other thing get confused. Okay. So likewise, that's a base. To compute the material amount. Clear? Okay. So you can continue. Sorry, it's right, but you can continue. Third, determining material. Determining material. There are two kinds of materials. There are two methods of defining material here. One is by MO. Quantity. And second one by nature. Okay, by amount or the resistance, say from before tax 5%, or profit after tax 10%. Okay, by amount, okay, how to determine how to determine the maximum level? So you can determine the maximum level by amount. So, basic, percentage profit before tax 5%, profit after tax 10%. And the focus can determine the maximum level. By nature, second one by nature, even by amount certain elements of material, okay, listen to morning, first one you can understand. First one, material can compare based on the amounts. That's clear. Second one, certain elements are not material based on the amounts. Amount size material but still that element is material by nature. What type of things? For example, if you want to do a consultation, consultation in a group company that parent has not taken one subsidiary for the consultation. But that subsidiary amounts are basically you are the auditor, you are the consolidated auditor, consolidated auditor. So parent the audit team has not taken one company to the consolidation. But that company's amounts are not material. But amounts are not material. Okay? We should consider as a material because a subsidiary material vision combined economy. Becoming subsidiary for acting the money. What in it also a bit good so even though that is not material based on the amount, that is material by nature. Okay, say by here one. Consolidation. One. Transactions. Not considered. But that's material. By nature, that is material. Second part, let's take bank. Let's take bank. You are a of bank. Bank liquid is also important. Liquid. What do you mean by liquid? By nature, example in consolidation, one subsidiary company's transactions have not been considered. One subsidiary these transactions cannot be consistent. One subsidiary company's transactions have not been cleared, but by amount, that is not material, but by nature, we should consider as material transaction. Okay. Second example, I can say. Second example, liquidity. Oh, and liquidity is most important. What means liquidity? Bank is something, but that's not related to directly. That's not directly related to the amounts. What is liquidity? Bank should keep enough money. In central bank guidance also there, but I'm not going to take that calculation. Those copies are there according to the central bank guidelines. Let's say you have unity from bank operating from it is from you and providing loans. If it is nothing, overall salary item, people salary item. It happens from the name and the loan name. Taking it is from you and lending money. Let's say people have invested in the bank. Let's say 1 million they are invested. So altogether 1 million deposits bank have taken from the people. Bank has 1 million. Whether can bank you entire 1 million to the lenders? No, they should give our money to that central bank guidance is there. So exactly. So you have invested 1 million. Example of that 1 million deposit is 200,000. If they give entire 1 million to the borrowers, then if you want to withdraw 100,000 from the bank, we don't have that much. So that then probably will come. That's all it will be. You want to get the money from your saving account, bank should provide. Then while ATM machine, you are in the bank account, you are ATM, you know, number that banking. Something bank you want to get 100,000 saving money there. So what that 9,000 you want to withdraw. So you have gone to the ATM machine to type your numbers. Then you got message from the ATM machine. Enough is the money is not enough. Or any other messages. Means you have money. You have right to get the money, but in the ATM machine and bank does not have enough money. Whether this transition of this situation is this situation will impact to the bank statement. Amount will impact another. Amount will impact another. But let's say if you are unable to get money from the banks, still you have right to get the money. The bank does not provide the money. Bank under liquidity risk. That liquidity resource is important in the bank state. Okay. That liquidity risk is important and disclosure is important to the financial statements. So that liquidity risk is not related to the accounts, but that is related to like nature that is again. So banks okay. Right is not. Determining material level by amounts, quantity, material by nature, quality. Material by nature, quality, qualitative factors may cause misstatements of quantitatively small amounts to be material. Even though quantity by small, but quality wise, we have to consider as material. Circumstances of the entity, business acquisition, disposal during the period. I have told that I am mentioning the consolidation account example. Applicable financial reporting framework. New qualitative disclosures may be required by new financial reporting standards. Qualitative disclosures that are important for the users of financial statements because of the nature of the entity. Banks, liquidity risk. These are the concepts you have to understand to determine the material level. To determine the material level for audit. Okay. Next topic. Levels of material. Levels. There are three material levels. You have to listen. Up to now, I got how to determine the material level. So you know whatever discussion up to now we had, you know, as what is the material level. Based on the material level, we will provide our opinion. So now we know that material level. Up to now, we know what type of material level. Okay, I have done material amount there. Based on that, we should do the audits. But in that material, we have three types of material or levels of material. Okay. There are three types of material. One is overall material. And the second one, performance material. Third one, significant audit differences. Okay. There are three types of material. One is the objective to express an opinion on finance statements, whether finance statements are free from material misstatements. That free from material misstatements, that material misstatement refers to the overall material. So I have some guidance. We have based on profit before tax 5%, based on revenue 1 to 2%, asset 1 to 2%, 0.5 to 1 to 1%, data that's 2 to 5%, likewise. From guidelines I have given notes. So based on those guidelines, we will compute first material. I say based on material statement, the word classification of material statement, free from material statement, that word first overall material. In the report also, we will say this finance statement will not contain material statement. So if we say that statement refers to this overall material. Okay, here of this point here. So this overall material, for example, let's take example. Film companies profit before tax 100 million. Film companies profit before tax is 100 million. So here, how we can compare this overall material? 100 million into 5%. Okay. This is our material. Okay. Earlier guidelines I have given no. So based on that, profit before tax 100 million, 5% of national. So material level is 5. Overall material level is 5. Clear? Okay. What is mean by performance material? The discussion part. I will take one example. Now, here, this is an example. With example only, I can explain this performance material. So this overall material, you know how to compare this overall material. By overall material also, you know. I understand. So now, what is mean by performance material? Take 5 transactions are there. Okay. 5 transactions are there. Out of these 5 transactions, you want 5 mistakes. Okay. In these 5 transactions, you want 5 mistakes. What is the material? 5 million. Okay. If you don't understand PPA, statements. $2 million. $3 million. $4 million. $7 million. Okay. Find the statements before. Yeah. According to this, our material level is 5 million. But we have found 5 mistakes. So now we can get rid of it. Now we can get rid of it. Right? Above 1 million, we have found 2 mistakes. So now we have to rectify those mistakes. Management should rectify those mistakes. Now we have to suggest management to pass next. So here, this one is below oil. Again, this one also has. Above material, above material, above material, like so we have suggest mentioned the pass in this and then if we go ahead with only oil, we will do all these things. We will consider about first three. Aggregate amount of is three. We see our overall material. Material means not only individually aggregate. Okay. So if we only go with the overall material level, then we will correct only above point. We want further above, we want consider aggregate, which means below OA. That result, aggregate amount of misstatements, uncorrected misstatements. Uncorrected misstatements will end up with above OA. For that, now we have to compute while we are doing medicine. OA is only OA if you make target end up with this result. So how you will say that you don't have a medical mistake because you have medical mistake and more like we should compute like we can't compute only OA because here only sample basis. The sample is only material level based on the material level. We will select the accounts. In that accounts also we will do the material sample basis. So then undetected mistakes will be high. Going to connect, then for example, out of that 50, 30 accounts will check, right? Those are the material accounts. So out of that 30 also we are not going to check entire other switch transaction. We will check sample basis. So not check areas are high. Okay. Yeah. So then we can go ahead only with oil. If we go ahead with only overall material level, one material level, we will end up with performance. Then we can say oil material mistakes. If you aggregate these three, you have material mistakes. Okay. To mitigate that risk, okay, it's called reaction risk. Okay. To mitigate, we will solve reaction risk. To mitigate that type of risk, okay, auditor will calculate the level of material level or performance material level. That is 5 million, 60%. Or the amount, 5 million 60. 3 million. 5 million into 60%, 3 million. Okay. How I determine this 60% adjustment? If its audit is 2 is 60% we can take. If the audit is less from 80% you can take. This is also beyond judgment. If I can take 60%, customer can take 70%, if you can take 50%, so you can take 80%. That's also beyond. So here I do 60%. Here, based on my professional judgment, I do 50%. Here, it's not external 60%. Just put a note. Somewhere around 50 to 80. Somewhere around 50 to 80. So that 50 to 80%. So yeah, 60%. So now, while we are performing the audit, while we are doing the paperwork and finalizing the audit, we should pay this amount as material amount. Yeah. Okay. So don't get confused. We will compute overall material. Okay. That overall material we people everywhere. In our report also we mention these financial statements do not have a that material statement refers overall material. If we go there only with the overall material, we will end up with that problems. Because aggregate value of undeducted statements will exceed the overall material. To mitigate that, in such situation, we can't say no. Value statements are not there. If you aggregate the amount, then material statement is there. Then our opinion will be wrong. Okay, so to mitigate that risk, we come to another material called performance material. Like we are performing the audit, we pay this amount as a material. Based on this amount of it, we will filter the amounts. In my previous example, your notifications are there out of that 50, 30 accounts only we are going to perform it, we are going to verify that 30 how we determine based on the performance material. Okay. Here, we have a material going, but to safeguard ourselves, we will take another low level of material. That material is performance material. Then, the method again, we forget Kerala. Misstatements of after comfort home, maybe misstatements that's like we compute. So, based on this, if we arrive here, then this one and this one will also be best. These things also be there. Unexpected statement is only $2 million. That is beyond our 5 million. Here, to protect ourselves from aggregate value, we select another material level or performance material. In other terms, certain known as certain polynomials called dollar level error. DE. What's mean by dollar level error? We can tolerate error up to this point. Here, performance material level or other terms, we can say dollar level error. What's the meaning of dollar level error? We can tolerate errors in the past statement up to this step. They can make so we can tolerate up to that level. Another level called that we can compute based on ON into P percentage. What is my P percentage? Somewhere how much? So why we compute that? Here also the sample checking and below above and also above this amount of significant audit differences. If we got significant audit differences, if we compute further below amount, we can use that amount for section of in the sum. Okay, so why we are taking the two level of materials? Because we is what type of risk? Reaction risk. What mean by reaction risk? We are doing only sample basis. So undeducted material statements can be there. To mitigate that risk, we use another level, two levels of materials. Those are performance material and Similar audit. Okay. Levels of material for the financial statements as whole, material for the financial statements as a whole material. 85%. For most material level, 60 to 70% of point, or 50 to 80%. Depends. Okay. It might be 50 to 70, 50 to 80. Okay. And level of clear, which means that. Okay. When designing and carrying out audit tests, listen and take this para for performance management level. When designing and carrying out audit tests, and when noting down errors, small amount should be set for material to reduce the risk that misstatements in aggregate. Okay. When designing and carrying out audit tests, okay, small amounts should be set for materiality. Small amounts should be set for materiality to reduce the risk that misstatements in aggregate exceed financial statements materiality. Aggregate statements may exceed the material level. In our case, aggregate statements. Okay. 2, 3, 4 aggregate statements will exceed the material level to reduce the risk. That is the compute performance material. The small amounts you are setting up small amounts, that's small amounts for. This is known as performance material. Okay. With that, I will also commission. Okay. So next, we are moving. What we are going to discuss about audit plan. So I'm not going to discuss here now, but I want to give a brief introduction about audit plan. This is art of thought. So this material computation, fraud, laws and regulations, non-compliance. This is also become audit planning. As I told already, so first step is appointment and second step is audit plan. This is also part of audit plan. While we are discussing the audit planning, I will tell you where we should take these fraud, laws and regulations and material. Okay. Now we are going to discuss about audit planning. Audit planning and risk assessment. Audit planning and risk assessment. In the audit, this is we normally say this is art of the audit. Not only the theory, practical and theory side also. Art of the audit is audit plan. While we are going to perform the audit, okay, we are going to perform audit procedures. So directly we can jump to the audit process. We know we compare the magnetic level and we know yes, we have been appointed as an auditor of the particular company, and now our responsibility is to perform audit. Clear? So now, how to do the audit? That's the question. So directly that 5 step one of the accounts. 50 accounts again. Discuss check करना है विधायक फिल्टर करना है अभी मतलब चेक करना है ये ओवर चेक करना है so what are the areas what are the accounts we are going to verify and how we are going to verify so those things before performing before jumping to the audit procedure okay first of all you should understand first we have to plan our work what are the accounts we are going to verify how we are going to verify how to calculate how we should respond. So those plan is very much important. Okay, that's why I put someone here out of this whole steps process. Audit planning is a key. Okay, because I would say in a practical scenario also as auditor must allocate 70% of his time to the audit plan. If we do proper planning, then the plan part will guide you to the audit plan. That's why planning is most important thing when it comes to this side for post-stage process. Okay. Okay. So I will write the piece. Okay, you just note it down. I write some things here. So you want to understand those things. Just note it down. Explanation one by one. Okay. In this audit planning, there are three main components. First one, understanding the diagram is important. Whatever you write here is important. Every topic I may include certain things there. So you don't need to write again. So let's say next class I will include one more additional point also there. So you don't need to write. I will write every class, but you don't need to write every day. But you can include those points here. Okay. Understanding the entity and its environment. Okay. What are the things we have to discuss? What are the information we should understand? That part we will discuss under what? Here first step under planning and discussion. First step understand the entity and its environment. Then audit का पता करना करी entity understand करना मतलब environment के understand करना तो directly आपको account करा चाहिए directly आपके management पे करा चाहिए कोई टाइप पता करना है there are some steps you have to follow. So first of all you have to understand the entity, the relevant client. Okay, what are the things we are going to understand? Those things we will cover under what category. Why we should understand? Why we should understand? But the importance of understanding the evidence environment. Those things we will cover under why topic and how we can understand what are the steps we have to follow. Okay. Second part. Second step. After understanding the entity and its environment, understanding the entity and its environment, we can't stop. It won't be stopped in the first level. Okay. It won't be stopped with the first level. It is a continuous process. From the beginning to end, you can understand certain information about the end, it's fine. Okay. After understanding the HTML, it's by one, second step is assessment. It is important one. This assessment. So I will ask one question. Just like maybe this river. Yes, okay. I will ask one question. The same example we will take. Take accounts we have. Regular I will take this example. 50 accounts you have in the financial statements. Out of that 50 examples, based on the performance metric table, we took 30 accounts for identification. Yes, 50 now filtered into the. My question: are we going to perform same audit procedures to those 30 accounts or not? Now, forget about that 20 accounts. 50 out of 50, 30 accounts we have selected. Now, forget about that 20 unselected areas we want further. Now, our focus only towards that 30 accounts. Now, 30 accounts are there. So, we have to perform audit process now. My question is, are we going to perform same level of audit procedures to that 30 accounts? So, audit procedures will be same audit procedures or different audit procedures? Why? Answer I got it. Why? Different is right answer. They are not going to perform same level of audit procedures. Different is right answer. Then answer is okay. Why you have given that answer? You don't know. What is the objective? What's the objective? Material mistake. Whether consequence of reform material mistake. Material okay. Okay, now 30 accounts are material. Now we have question. It's a focus on material okay. Then material here. 30 accounts material. Accounts no, 30 accounts material. Okay, that is okay. So whether all these material accounts will post statements, material statements, all these material accounts will post material statements. Some accounts will post statements, some accounts will give material statements. So 30 accounts are there. Then material की तरफ provided material के लिए ऐसा एक material statement है इतना. Don't misunderstand. Material amount के statement है और एक material statement है. Okay, let's say for example, if you look at question is important. Material we have filtered and taken 30 accounts as material accounts. Okay, example out of 30, under PP is the material account. Okay, under PP is the material level. What is the material level? 5 million. So let's say example purpose. Okay, 3 million. Let's say 3 million performance material. Okay, so under P is the material account. 3 million is the material. In that material account, if you notice 2 million errors, that is my mistake. Okay, if you know, say, I guess mistake only, that is mistake. First of all, what is our focus? Our focus only into material mistake. In order to identify the material statements, first of all, we have to filter the material accounts in the first step. That is 30 accounts. Okay, 30 accounts. Now, all 30 accounts will not create material mistakes. Material mistakes outcome में 30 accounts material statement देंगे. इसके लिए देना होगा. Material statement देना होगा. Okay, how we can identify those things? Whether this account may give material statement whether these accounts may not give material statement. These accounts may give statement, but that's not material. How we can analyze these things? That analysis is called risk assessment. What is the risk? Material statement. What are the accounts will create material statements in the financial statements? That analysis is called risk assessment. We are discussing later is part. But importantly, in this risk assessment, we have inner risk, control risk, reaction risk. What is inner risk? What is control risk? The main point so next class I will explain what is inner risk, control risk, reaction risk. Okay. Inner risk, reaction risk. You can say entity level risk. Now you can understand these things. Why I am saying entity level risk? Why I am saying what is meant by inner risk? Just put it down one by one. In detail, we are discussing next class. Okay. Entity level risk. This is point of science. Okay. Point of science. Clear? Now we have to assess the risk. That's what we discuss. Sorry, we have to do the home risk assessment. In that risk assessment, one thing is in between risk assessment, look at like this and like risk. The risk issue that's going to be done control and reaction. Risk assessment below that, put arrow market risk. Risk. Those risks, inner risk control risk. Inner risk and control risk, we can see. Reaction is point of size. Why I have the and this risk should be assessed. Okay, this risk should be assessed. This. Okay. Don't get confused. Risk assessment is the main part. Under that, first of all, you have to identify the risk. The risk assessment data. Identify the risk assessment data. I will explain what is meant by risk assessment later. I will use the note also. You can identify taking this one. Risk assessment is the process. In that risk assessment, first of all, we have to identify the risk. So that's why I am dismiss the risk, but you identify the risk. Loss is not in the protection risk. Okay, once you identify the risk, now you should assess the risk. That's the risk. The other assessment of risk will give two answers. Or my answer statement is okay. Yeah. So third, I don't emphasize certain point I want to include in the next classes while we are discussing in detail. Okay, in that point you have to include certain words in this diagram. If you don't write again, you have to include certain words into this diagram. So, now you have identified the list. Okay, you have identified the list. These are the list in a production. After that, you have assessed the list. In the list. Based on the assessment, you will get two results. One is overall financial level is, another one is assessment levels. Okay, just note it down. Another topic in between one element will become significance. And we are discussing it. Okay, you have to include. You have to include the definition and significance. If you include that, we discuss it inform you. So based on that, two types of risk assessments with the two types of result can get. One is overall financial risk. Another one is assessment level risk. What is investments? Coming up again. So then we are on okay. We can continue. Okay. So I will continue from this. I think this. Okay. So these are the result we will get after assessing the risk. So now number 3. First one is understanding the indicated environment. Second one is risk assessment. Third one is risk response. Okay. Based on the result from assessment of the risk, based on the result from the assessment of risk, we have two types of risk responses. We have two types of risk responses. One is overall financial statement level risk responses. Okay. Based on the evenly we have assessment, we have got risk all financial risk for that all financial risk responses. Okay. For this way, we should have all financial statement and risk responses. Here, assessment level risk responses. Okay. So, assessment level risk responses. We have two things. Of controls. Another one called substantive audit procedures. Okay. Assessment level risk responses have two classifications. If of control in short form, we will say TOC. So controls in short form, we will say TOC. And second category, substantive audit procedures. These substantive audit procedures will be classified into of details and substantive. Here, these are the topics we are going to discuss under topic mapping. We can start with we have one of our basic class, presentation class. So, as I told, already the 5 classes are there. One class we are going to cover presentation. So, without we have 3 theoretical classes. One normal class. Already I have now attended one class. So with that, I want to take one more extra class. So all together, next 4 classes. Yeah. Out of that, one class will be covered. So one class will cover presentation. And another 2 classes are there. Out of that 2 classes, 3 classes are there. 3 classes will cover this additional theory. Okay. So additional theory and as much as possible, I will cover the these questions also. If we miss any questions in class, I will upload answers. Okay. And as I told next class presentation, I won't postpone the presentation because we can't postpone also. We can't postpone the presentation. So next class will be started 8 a.m. from we continue up to 12 o'clock based on the presentation. If time, I will take questions for this part. So after I will take questions. How many teams? 10 teams equally. Sometimes will take anyways. 0 numbers will take. Sharply we will start at 8 a.m. So we'll see. So after I take 10, I will do the questions. Next class it will take a presentation and probably class will continue the theory. So we have meeting sessions when it comes to theory, what can we have and what evidences we have and report. Each this we are going to this presentation. Limit your presentation maximum 15 minutes or 20 minutes. Maximum between 15 or 20. Don't present beyond that because otherwise, it clear. So your presentation should be down. So it means we have to limit this 15 to 20 minutes. Don't present beyond that. So 30, you have to complete the presentation with the question and answer. Okay. So then academic you are not about science पढ़ाना है तो जाते का वो तो एक क्वेश्चन का आगे तुम करेगा ना so if that gets delay ask which is also delay hey hey so give me that in my hand how are you doing